What on earth was I thinking predicting the Chiefs to win this game? What on earth was the TAB thinking? Hell, they installed the Mulu men as favorites, paying $1.80 against the Crusaders $2 in the predictions just before kickoff. How quickly we forget 31-0. Hang on a sec, make that 32-0, because as you can see here, 16-12 was the full-time score. The Crusaders have done it again. They are the GOATs. They are greatness defined. It doesn't get better than this in provincial sport, in any sport on earth. I have never seen a run like the one that the Crusaders are on the past few decades, so golf clap to them. I'm not a Christchurch boy, didn't grow up there, but I know greatness when I see it. They deserve this win. In this video, we're going to break down how they made it look so easy, why minutes 60 to 80, and a critical strategic change from the Red and Blacks really sealed this game. And I'm going to leave you with a statistic that is absolutely jaw-dropping. Oh, I'm also going to pick the 5 most valuable players from the Crusaders and 1 Chiefs player. But you know what, guys? The most prescient analysis didn't come from a Crusaders player or coach. It was the post-match interview with a bloodied, bruised, tears in his eyes Luke Jacobson, the captain of the Chiefs, who gave it his all. Man, do I feel bad for this guy. Hopefully he's getting an all-black call-up in the next 48 hours. 3 times a beaten grand finalist. Unbelievable. The Chiefs are 3 losses down in grand finals the last few years. What they need to do now is they need to lose a grand final next year. Then they will have replicated that famous losing run from the Buffalo Bills in the early 90s in the NFL. Hell, maybe if they lose 5 grand finals in a row, they can rewrite history altogether. I mean, unfortunately, it just looks like this is the way it's going. History's repeating. We're stuck in a time loop. We can't get out of this infinity loop that we're in. The Crusaders just keep on winning. Chiefs just keep on giving it away in a grand final, man. I don't know what to tell you. I thought they could do it, but they got smothered at the end, and we're going to talk about that. But let's zero in on those comments I mentioned from Luke Jacobson. He said that the Chiefs lost the battle of the halfway. He's talking about that line right in the middle of the field, 50-meter line. Who plays on the right side of that line at the right time? And he was dead on. I 100% agree. Hey, who would know better than the captain of the team that just got beaten? He nailed it. Territory is how the Crusaders won this game. Changing their tactics at the right time. Showing some versatility. Now, there was an interesting statistic that I saw at the beginning of this game that actually surprised me. The Chiefs really have weaponized their scrum this year. Going into this game, they had won 31 scrum penalties. The Crusaders, surprisingly, had only won 20. I always think of that as the Crusaders party trick. They win a scrum penalty, they kick for the corner, bang, 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 in they go. No, the Chiefs scrum is very good. Very good. And I put Ollie Norris, their number 1, in my All Blacks squad. He might get a call up on Monday, but he immediately showed his worth. A couple of penalties went against the Crusaders. Ollie Norris was very much at the fore in those. Fletcher Newell went down twice. He didn't look happy, but we're going to talk about him more because, man, is he a quick learner. Well, it wasn't really going the way of the Crusaders at first. In the 11th minute, David Havili got a yellow card for an upright tackle on Emoni Narawa, the Chiefs winger. You wouldn't even really call it head-on-head. It was a pretty sickening head-on-face. Later on, Havili had to go off for a head injury assessment. He passed it, thank goodness. He was critical out there for these guys. You know, I mentioned Fletcher Newell was a quick learner. Well, he got one back for his team in the 16th minute. He collapsed the Chiefs' front row, and that was where you started to see the Crusaders scrum moving up a few gears. They started a little bit icy, a little bit cold, a little bit rough. Boy, did that thing get purring like a Rolls-Royce engine by the second half. My goodness, the scrum was utterly destructive. Now, we saw some weird calls in this game. All right, here's the weirdest one for me. The Chiefs won a penalty after a shoulder-on-shoulder tackle on Damian McKenzie. I don't get it. Why wasn't it just a scrum? I think Angus Gardner, who otherwise had a fantastic game, called it so clearly. I think maybe he was trying to deter the Crusaders from nailing Mackenzie constantly, because make no mistake about it, they had the lasers, they had the bullseye right on DMAC. It was getting close to head high a few times. I think the ref actually was just saying, hey, listen, don't be too cynical. You're just trashing the opposition number 10. You know, if you're getting a bit high with these tackles, I'm going to keep my eye on you. So that was a bit of a lucky break, but it wasn't really enough for the Chiefs. They just couldn't nail their opportunities. You know, they were spending enough time in the Crusaders 22. I think they spent more time in the Crusaders 22 than vice versa. But they couldn't pull the trigger. And in fact, it was the 25th minute when the Crusaders unleashed their rolling maul. A couple of Chiefs players lost their bind, and bam, Cody Taylor accelerated down the wing, took off like a shot. Just in case you were worried he was getting a bit long in the tooth, a bit heavy in the legs, man, he was running like a winger out there. Incredible. So that was very reassuring from an All Blacks fan perspective to see Cody Taylor running around just like he did in the full bloom of his youth. He's not too old. He's got a few years left in him, but awesome stuff there from Cody Taylor. That was a bit of a hammer blow from the Crusaders. And then, as I mentioned, the scrum went to a different level. In the 33rd minute, the Crusaders scrum was like a tractor going forward over the Chiefs. First time that no whistle was blown. There were lots of scrum penalties before this particular one in the 33rd minute. The ref let it ride, and man, the Crusaders just got that absolute shove on, and they kicked the ball forward. Mackenzie just grounded it, forcing a goal line dropout for the Chiefs. And this was where we started to see the territory game starting. Okay, Crusaders didn't get a try out of that, but we are pinning you guys down on your back fence. We're making you do goal line dropouts. We're sapping your energy, Chiefs. We're making you perform tackle after tackle after tackle, monotonous, relentless attack, exhausting stuff. That's what the Crusaders started to do. That's how they got the stranglehold. Now, in the 37th minute, there was a riposte. Stevenson scored a try after some relentless phase play from the Chiefs. They called it back to look at obstruction, right? Because here's the deal. Scott Barrett, Crusaders captain, probably the next and present All Blacks captain too, he was cleaned out. Now, was he in the ruck? Absolutely he was. His hands were in the massive bodies. He was in the ruck zone. He got a healthy clean out. And what do you think? That was sort of a controversial call. Maybe down in Christchurch, they don't agree with that one. I thought it was fair that there was no penalty from that and the try was allowed. So we go into the break and the Crusaders are just up by 1 point. For me, Sevu Reece and Noah Hotham were the standouts at this point. Sevu Reece was just so good with his kick chase. A lot of bombs were going up. And he kept the defense honest. Relentless foot speed from Sevu Reece. And Noah Hotham underlined why myself and many other pundits are picking him in the All Black squad as the third choice halfback who should get more minutes this year. His sniping was terrific. Quick recycling, speed of mind, speed of foot, speed of hand. So much to like about his game. Now, in the 47th minute, the Crusaders shocked me. Instead of going for a penalty that they won, they kicked for the corner. And I can understand that. They had the momentum. Maybe they felt, look, we got these guys ready to be skewered. But Tupou Vai contested one of the lineouts and won it. That was awesome. That was a great moment for the Chiefs. That gave me hope the Chiefs were still in it. And from here, the Chiefs actually had their best stanza of the game. It was a pretty good patch. In the 50th minute, the Chiefs completely rejigged their front row. Takiaho went off. Ollie Norris went off. 3 new faces went on. An immediate scrum penalty against Tamati Williams from the Crusaders. So you said, okay, that's pretty good. And the Chiefs really just manned up on defense. Look, the Crusaders' defense was awesome. Frankly, the Chiefs matched it in this game. Look at the score, 16-12. It's not like this was a try fest. This was a very even game defensively. And the Chiefs held up a try that you thought for all money the Crusaders had scored. Okay, admittedly, when all the bodies cleared, a Crusaders player had the ball over the line, but we didn't get a clear grounding. And listen, the Chiefs players that jumped in, about 3 of them, they either held up the ball or they were so clever in obstructing the view of the try from the cameras that you basically just had to say, all right, no try. It was a hell of a good scrambling defensive effort from the Chiefs either way. But it was right after that that the tactical change started. Crusaders turned this into an aerial contest, and they won it. That is why they won it. Luke Jacobson mentioned the Battle of the Halfway. The Crusaders were on the right side of that halfway line more of the time. They were winning contestable kicks. Their kick chase was better. They won this game through their defense, but they actually really won it in the air, in my humble opinion. Territory was paramount. Crusaders knew it. They tightened it up. It was a cold night. There was no rain, but that ground was full of dew. I mean, the blades of grass, they looked pristine in high definition on my TV, but if you looked in there closer, that ground was sopping wet. You could just tell it was a greasy ball. People had handling issues all night. In the 65th minute, David Havili apparently scored a try. It was called back because Noah Hotham, who'd done a brilliant job getting over the gain line, stripping another player. Well, he got offside because he technically tackled a Chiefs player, but he was offside when he did it and got his mitts on the ball. He needed to be behind the Chiefs player, not in front of him. He was in front of him, and then he popped the ball back to Havili, who scored. Hey, great effort, great hustle, like 10 out of 10 effort. It just technically wasn't legal. So we couldn't allow that. In the 71st minute, another monster Crusaders scrum. Fletcher Newell showed his worth. I started this video saying, well, he gave away a couple penalties. I also mentioned that he learned quickly. After being chastened, humiliated by those early penalties, he was not happy with it. He turned his game around. He was leading the demolition job with this Crusaders scrum. Rivers Rehana slots it, cool as a cucumber, kicks the penalty. And what do you know, guys? 16-12, Crusaders hold on. And you know what that means? This, the familiar sight of that trophy in the Crusaders locker room. And there he is, Rob Penny, the man who could have been sacked last year. There was a lot of pressure on him. NZR has learned, I think at all levels, not just with the All Blacks. Remember, we used to chop and change a lot. Wayne Smith got a couple years. John Mitchell got a couple years. Of course, Graham Henry led the All Blacks to their worst ever Rugby World Cup performance in 2007. Everyone was calling for his head. NZR held their nerve, gave him some more time. What do we get out of that? 2011 Rugby World Cup victory. The breakthrough victory for the All Blacks. And I think it's good they didn't drop Penny last year. I mean, look, easy for me to say, hindsight's 2020. But, you know, we kind of felt like, oh, he's inheriting the greatest Super Rugby team ever. In fact, he was kind of inheriting a poison chalice, if you think about it, because guys like Sam Whitelock, who were the backbone of this Crusaders team, were gone. Offshore and retirement player drain. Last year, they were not the Crusaders that we know and love, or love to hate. They were a shell of themselves. Well, they were rebuilt this year. So you have to give credit to Penny. If you were criticizing him last year, you have to give him a standing ovation. He led them to the promised land. Good on him. Who knows if this is the start of another dynasty, but man, for 2025, business as usual. I'm going to break down some of the standout players in the game, and kind of interesting from an All Blacks perspective. Here's what I'm thinking, guys. We're going to start with one of the Chiefs players, Tupou Vaa'i. Contested the lineouts, was strong on defense, strong at the breakdown. In a losing battle, I felt he covered himself in glory. So I want to give a big shout out to Tupou. I think he's developing into a world-class lock. I think he will be partnering with Scott Barrett in the middle row for the All Blacks this year. And after this result, I think he'll be happy to have Scott Barrett on his team, not in the opposition. But moving on to the Crusaders, Fletcher Newell. Got to give him his due. Rough start. Man, was he good in that second half. Absolute fire in the scrums. He is going to be very handy for the All Blacks, coming off the bench, keeping our black scrum firing. Shout out to Noah Hotham, probably the most influential player in the first half. His sniping was excellent. I think he has darted his way into the All Blacks squad for a second year in a row. How do we go past Rivers Rehana? Now, I'm not ready to anoint him the new Carter or the new Mo'unga, but I am here to tell you that no one's better at predicting future talent than the Crusaders. There's just this assembly line of talent that keeps churning out of the Canterbury region, and smart buys from around the country. They saw something in Taha Kemera and Rivers Rehana when they were basically pimply teenagers, with all due respect. So here they are. They're men now. Taha couldn't play in the final. Rivers Rehana stepped up. He kicked his goals very coolly. He's one for the future, and he's one for the present based on this. He has just guided the Crusaders to a Super Rugby title, playing 10. Huge breakthrough performance for this kid. Hey, he's a man now. He ain't no kid. He's a champion. So, got to single him out. It was tough for the Crusaders to lose Kemmerer. This guy stepped into the breach, and he excelled tonight. He absolutely excelled. That big kicking game was a weapon for the Crusaders. And we got to talk about Will Jordan. Absolutely sensational. I was going to put David Havili in there because he was excellent, but can't really go past the sheer class of Will Jordan. Absolutely phenomenal effort from this man. He's one of the best. So, guys, the Crusaders have done it again, and here's the stat that's going to blow your mind. They have won 46% of Super Rugby competitions. That means if they pick up another one or two, math isn't my strong suit, they pick up another couple, you're going to be able to say they've won 50% of the tournaments, which have featured either 12 teams or 14. That's insane. Like I said, there's nothing like this in any sport on earth. You can say what you want about Union maybe not having the talent pool of other sports. I just think, no, look at this for what it is. It's unbelievable. It's a hell of a run. Guys, I'm going to be back tomorrow to respond to Razor Robertson's first All Black squad of the year. I can't wait for that, but drop your thoughts on this grand final in the comment section. I thought it was a good game. Thought it was entertaining, very tense, very tight. And I can't argue with the result. So, guys, send this video to someone who loves rugby. Please like, please subscribe. Be back for another one real soon. Until then, take it easy. Bye for now.